Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the April 3rd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll take the lead today. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think with a lot of RFPs done, it's a little quieter. In the Board of Commissioners room, we have Commissioner Godu, Commissioner Tombrello, and myself. Kate Coyle, we have Allison Kavakowski, Jason Henry, Chantal Jaconin, Layla Matilla, Jude Gates, and Chuck Nickerson in Zoom land. Good morning. We have Pat Conway, Katie Casey, and Erin Coker for the Sheriff's Department. So with that, we'll move right into RFP openings and awards. And the first is an opening for the grease trap and lift station service.
I'll make a motion to authorize the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT to review, evaluate the proposal, and return with a recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion? On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have a opening for professional auditing services.
I'll make a motion to authorize the Senior Director of Finance to review, evaluate the proposal, and return with a recommendation.
Second.
Oh, we have a physical opening, which is always exciting. On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Open away. That offer. It's always so uncomfortable to the actual. All right, next we have an award. You want me to read?
I'll make a motion to award the proposal for fire sprinkler testing to LHR Fire Protection for the period of April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. An amount not to exceed $1,850 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT.
Second.
Question? Just, it seemed like there's a huge range.
Extraordinary. He's a new vendor. He's in Raymond.
He's just
He
trying.
really wants our business. I said, sharpen your pencil, but don't lose your shirt. And he's like, I'm okay. He really wants.
Great.
I got him, Commissioner got you referred him to.
Fantastic.
This is somebody that I bumped into, said they had qualification. I said, oh, we need this kind of work.
They
And,
do a lot of work locally. I did check. I mean, they've got good references. They've got, a
Wonderful.
decent line card.
Great.
So, yeah,
I mean, if we,
I feel confident.
and it's nice that we can get Rockingham County vendor,
For
that's all
sure.
the better.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for your networking.
yeah.
Here's the money.
For your sort of the checking in,
Sure thing.
for credential check. Any other discussion? Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, we have meeting minutes to approve. Layla, it has been a very busy time for meeting minute generation. Go ahead, Commissioner Tombrello.
Motion to approve the March 6, 2025 and March 13th, 2025 public and non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion.
I did not get to look at either one. Obviously, I got on them in last night, so I did not look at them. But if you guys want to approve them, it's okay. I don't remember anything being an issue that I can remember, but I did not look at them, so I would be abstaining from it. If you want to table it, you can. If you want to vote, you can.
I'm good with them. I've got a little discussion on the non-public minutes of the 13th.
Okay,
I don't know that they need to be changed, but I just had a couple of concerns that should be discussed in non-public.
okay. So, why don't we approve? I'm comfortable approving March 6th, both public and non-public, and the March 13th public. We can table the non-public and then after
come
not
back.
back to it. So, I will propose to amend the motion to reflect excluded tabling the non-public meeting minutes from March 13th.
So move.
Okay, any further discussion?
Give it a second.
Second.
Yeah. Do we have any further discussion?
No.
Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, there's a second motion regarding sealing of a non-public session.
I'll make a motion to seal the March 6, 2025 minutes of non-public session number 9. And definitely because it determined that divulgence of this information would likely render a proposed action ineffective and affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to the adult medical daycare payout report for January. I'd be happy just checking in on where we are on the budget. We're $51,000 expended through, so that puts us in a good place. So we'll be within budget for, if we maintain this level of care, we could actually go up a little bit. I know we have a adult medical daycare request coming in on this agenda, and I feel like we can support it. The goal is to maximize support for our residents, so we'll be pretty close to right on budget where we're trending and looks
Agreed.
good. Does anybody have anything to on everything? Okay. Agency nursing staff reports for March. Anybody wish to speak about that? I mean, I'm happy to.
Go.
Nope, got it. I
Please.
think we're trending where we want to trend in this as we continue to add on new positions like people coming in. I think we have a contract that we may have bought out, another one, or.
There's a
it's-
few that have approached us. I
Yeah.
know that Autumn sent an email one day this week in one of the upcoming orientations. We actually have an LPN. And we have an LNA who will be per diem converting to full-time in May. And I trend these reports because I like data. And when I was looking at it from September, when I started in Allison's team and I really kind of hit the ground, we were at like 76 contracts, 78, and then this report we're in the 50s.
Low 50s. like
56.
50,
So we
yeah.
dropped about
20.
20 contracts. And
Yeah.
I think there's a couple that is just in between the gap. That'll probably be coming, that'll be closer to a 58, just the way that it fell with the reporting with a restart, but we've dropped about 20 contracts. So, and been able to replace them with our own staff.
I mean, I guess there's two important points to take away from that. One, I mean, it's nearly a 30% drop off. I mean, that's incredible. And in a 6-month period of time, and we have replaced all those with staff. So it's not like we're reducing the amount of staffing, like, sort of support care staffing. It's just that we've reversed the trend, so.
We have, and this is in regards to just, agency and that side of it, but we've also had positive hiring in our housekeeping. We've had positive in some of the other ancillaries that have been successful in helping support us as well, even from an overtime kind of perspective. So the initiatives that Autumn, I truly think Autumn going to the Indeed Quick Apply was the huge catalyst for us. But I think looking at those components that were put in place and what HR is doing across the board, we've seen a lot of positive hiring, at least for the nursing side.
I'm also seeing volatility in the agencies. They're being
Yeah.
acquired. Some of them are starting to be acquired because the demand for it and the rates are pushing as people are starting, if the economy stabilizing and people are trying to get into positions full-time with benefits and stuff. So I have a contract before the board about an acquired one next week that will come before the board. So, and there are some problems internally with some of the agencies about some transitions and layoffs and stuff like that are happening. So there's a shift.
There is definitely a market shift I've seen too.
I'm happy that we're moving in this direction, but I don't want to think at all that we're in the comfort zone yet. We're
Yeah.
still,
I still
Full court
count
press.
it. It is still top of my list.
Yep.
And the big piece since,
I mean, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Good.
thank you. I know Autumn works very
And
closely
Autumn's doing a
with
good
us.
job too.
Where Autumn and I still have a routine standing kind of monthly touch base meeting where we're looking at recruitment. If there's something that, perspective, things we can adjust on to continue down that trend. And then Siobhan, the DON, that has since joined, started an actual labor management meeting where she's meeting weekly and has different members of her team kind of part where we're looking at what are openings, you know, what are interviews, looking at the agency. So we're proactive in knowing if we have someone coming in so that we're giving timely notice and not having kind of just extra staff because we haven't given it. I know that Riley and Autumn play components in that.
Yeah.
Where we're also trying to proactively identify if we know that someone's struggling or there's a gap that we can fill so that we can retain and still have quality. So those are all things that have been kind of put in place as well. So we've also been able to, there's always going to be some changes and transitions, but we've been able to kind of stop or close the back door where we were losing staff as quick as we were getting them in a lot of ways as well.
And I think Chantal, this is like really, that aspect is really a credit to you. You've worked really hard and you said the word proactive, and what I think is since you've come in, you know, boots on the ground, been incredibly proactive in that effort, and there's been no complacency. I know it'd be easy to be a little complacent in the economic climate that we're in the use of agency, and a lot of your initiatives working with the HR team, it's just been, I mean, a huge impact, not just for care of our residents, but as we're looking to the budget and going forward, like one critical component to the budget, the overall budget piece is because staffing is such a huge component of the overall budget is trying to reduce that agency cost item. So thanks for all your efforts. It's really been, I just a remarkable, I mean.
HR is my second home at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's been great and it really has been a big effort in changing our practices within the teams to allow Autumn to schedule interviews right away. And my team has just rose to the challenge, and I know that Autumn has been, you know, right there with different shifts and pieces. And it's just really great to kind of have that collaboration because we're seeing the results.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Anybody else? have anything? Okay, moving on to the March 28th, 2025 payroll expense. This is just informational. We came in at around 1.5 million. Looked fine. Well, that's the AP run. Yeah, we have, the AP run is.
Why is that so high?
Well, we have, yeah, so we have the AP list, but that one point, I guess we moved to it.
Yeah.
It was super high because we have the state bill. We have another 500,000 for Cigna medical costs. We have another like 200,000 for Allegiant. So, I mean, that's like 2/3 of the bill of our AP run this week. So I guess moving forward, do you want to, Commissioner Tombrello, make a motion with respect to the AP run?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 3rd, 2025 accounts payable list. Total of $3,580,624.84.
Second,
Discussion?
no, you already told.
Okay. I just had one question, just with respect, we have, 227,000 for a contingent ARPA funds. What, is that with respect to the,
Most of
Water-
that was actually for the HVAC replacement project.
okay,
So anytime you see CES or KPMB enterprises, primarily KPMB enterprises, it's that 4 million, towards that 4 million
Yeah.
overall
I couldn't-
project for countywide HVAC replacement.
I didn't know if it was water or.
That,
HVAC.
this time, no,
It's
only a
HVAC.
small amount was,
Yeah.
only about 2,000 was Coughlin Environmental for the, or engineering, for the engineering consulting. Yeah, wastewater.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
before we move through the consent agenda, I've got a payroll document here, 1,500,000,
Yes.
and we don't have a motion on the consent agenda. Is that coming up later in the
Um,
agenda? I didn't.
you know,
It was
We
pretty
did it.
Pre-approved.
1.6 million.
Oh, this was
the
approved.
pre-approved, yeah.
Okay, that's right. We approved up to 1.6 million or something like that.
Correct.
Right, okay.
So when we were just talking about it from the informational perspective, that's where I was referencing the 1.5
Okay,
change,
Yeah, the request is for it to be signed. It was pre-approved
Yeah.
at that amount.
up to. Are you satisfied, Commissioner Godu?
yes, that's fine.
Moving right on to Commissioner's Office updates. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share?
Well, I'll share, we're continuing to, our negotiations with both, dispatch and deputies. They are, I'd say the negotiations are going well. But, we're not complete, we still have, the work to do, so, we'll just keep working on that till we come to a conclusion. I've got at least one more round.
We tentatively agreed to the dispatcher.
Oh, that's right, the dispatch did offer us a tentative agreement. So, but the deputies, we still have another round of discussion.
When you meet, Sue.
I believe the meeting next Tuesday in the morning. So hopefully that will be the conclusion of that, because we need to get it done before the end of the, before we can finish the budget, so that the budget's accurate. I think that's enough. I've been busy with that stuff. I've had both of the most contentious, negotiations, I think.
Yeah, just mine, same thing. We actually have a tentative agreement with the correction supervisors. We spent 4 hours on the roof of my Airbnb Monday. There were a lot of sunlight on the roof.
But you were locked out too.
And yesterday, I spent a lot of time going through customs on the phone. They yelled at 3 times, but we did.
What did you bring back?
No, I was on the phone, sunglasses on the phone. This lady just wanted to yell at me as soon as she saw me. So we actually, before I got on the plane, we went up with a tentative agreement, so I think, and the group worked real hard. I mean, we held our ground and we really worked hard, and the whole group worked hard, and it was good. I think you guys will be happy with it, and the county will be happy going forward with ours.
And this, we have, concluded our negotiations, and with my group and, yeah, well, I think we landed in a good place, and, beyond that, we have, thank you everybody for getting your department budget submitted. It is, gonna be a challenging budget season, no doubt. I know it's just gonna be incredibly hard. I know. There's a lot of pressures from various factors regarding whether it's a reduction in money we're getting, revenues from the state, to you know, how much we want to go up with taxes, to pressures with respect to, you know, I know in like your town, they had the population, the residents voted for a default budget, right? And we have in my town, their directive is 2.9%. So, you know, we've got some work to do, but we appreciate the efforts of.
So we can't deliver a 6 or 7% increase?
Well, we might not be.
No, there's some cutting that needs to be done to the budget that we set.
One quick thing I wanted to ask Chuck when you're done.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, please,
interrupted you.
it's fine. Just go ahead.
Chuck, on the non-county special, I noticed, is that because they haven't applied?
So I did, so for those ones that entities that have been long time, non-county special nonprofits that we've funded. Unfortunately, 4 of them did not respond, so I put $1 placeholders in. I'm not sure why. Sometimes the nonprofits, they change executive directors and something gets dropped. You know, I think 1 or 2 of them, they were, I don't know, one especially, I think they had been specifically reminded last year after failing in a year or 2, possibly in a row, that they did not, you know, basically submit an application by the departmental budget deadline. So this year there was not an outreach to that organization, but again, they had been reminded constantly. They've been receiving funds many years in a row. There's no reason this time of year that it shouldn't be on their radar to put in an application. So $1 placeholders were put in for 4, and that's why you do see a significant increase, or sorry, not increase, decrease as far as departmental proposed versus what was approved by the delegation for 25. So,
Well, given our budget situation, that might stand.
well, Well, we'll discuss which one. One of them, I think you may not want to just leave at $1, but that's.
Yeah, I mean, right now, just so everybody has the picture, in order to meet our budget needs, we have to use almost $18 million of fund balance, so that is jarring. Anyway,
That we don't have.
Well,
well,
yeah,
yes,
but you may,
yeah.
don't want to use that much.
It's not good, I mean, Chuck, credit to you for putting it all together, and I mean, really, this is not you're remarkable.
Well, the fund balance becomes like the so-called plug at the end, that
Yes.
once you add up all the different revenue, sources and expenses, fund balance is the balancing piece of the
It
whole
is,
budget,
but-
so.
The question is,
How
one,
much?
how,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
exactly,
Is the,
and how much we're giving back this year, you know?
when we see our books up for all the departments, when we see
You got
our
them.
books
What do you-
They've been
on
dismissed.
the seventh,
Well,
well, we're meeting on the 10th,
before the tenth,
Yeah, so it's
But we
being put
have it.
We have the
together.
electronic copy,
it's all on OneNote, OneNote,
OneDrive.
OneDrive, sorry, OneNote is the.
Lily, you haven't picked up, have you printed out physical copies of that yet? For the budget?
No, I emailed you guys.
Asking what we wanted for materials.
Right, well. Okay,
I like the book, to go through the book, and it's helpful when you go into the subcommittees. Is there any talk, we're gonna start, is Cheryl started talking about that?
Well-
Subcommittee meetings to start.
Well, the subcommittees, their members fully formed as far as who's on which one. That was done back really more so at organization time, at least the heads.
There's, I don't need to, are you right, you're right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sorry, Chuck.
Oh, Pat, so, okay. So basically, so I think some subcommittee heads are already planning on when they're going to do it. Do not be surprised if subcommittee meetings start getting scheduled from like April 28th
Thank you.
until about mid-May. I have to look at the calendar exactly, but yeah, so don't be surprised if some, even before the commissioner's budget is maybe received in the mail by some of the reps, that there's subcommittee meetings scheduled, because there will be electronic copy of the commissioner's budget. The target date for that would be that, I think that last Friday in April, 25th. So do not be surprised if you might start getting outreach from your, subcommittee chairs, that there's being a subcommittee meeting of the delegation, scheduled, for your budget. So basically, those meetings will go, I'm guessing it's gonna be April 28th through about May 13th. And generally speaking, those will be on Mondays and Fridays, because the reps are in session in Concord for Tuesday through Thursday. Yes, it's getting a little bit less busy up there now, relatively.
Good.
Relatively.
Getting the updates from, Kate Horgan, it's been a very busy time.
There's still more work for Finance Division 3 and Senate.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
nevertheless, we appreciate, just to sum up, I know everybody worked hard on their budgets, and it's a lot of time consuming. It's very time consuming, a lot of efforts, and so thank you for your efforts. We'll move on. Does anybody have anything else? No? Okay, let's move on to the bid waiver for the county attorney's office.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid waiver request and license renewal agreement with Carpel Solutions for the prosecutor by Carpel database system in the amount of $27,500 for a term of 1 year beginning June 1st, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the county attorney.
second,
Discussion?
doesn't look like we have any choice there.
Yeah, we have had, just to sum up, we have these two bid waivers for the county attorney's office. We took off that, we discussed 2 weeks ago. It was just that we have to go through the formal process of bid waivers in these instances. Statutory requirements.
Right.
All right. On the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have another bid waiver for the county attorney's office.
Make a motion to approve the bid waiver request and renewal agreement with Tom Reuters West Law for the CLEAR Program Records Resource Tool for a 3-year term beginning August 1st, 2025. The amount not to, in the amount of $12,800. Does that mean I have to go all over again?
No, you're good, keep going.
Keep going.
$12,801.24 and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the county attorney.
Second,
On any discussion? No. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello.
yes,
Commissioner Godu.
yes,
Michael, yes. We have a Neptune Uniform proposed contract extension.
Make a motion to approve the Neptune Uniforms contract extension for the period beginning July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026 with a 3.5% to a 5% industry-wide increase as recommended by the superintendent of the Department of Corrections.
second,
I think this is the same issue we have to do. We need a bid waiver request or
Amount.
or go out to bid.
Last year you did an extension.
I don't think that's proper. I mean, I look at it, it's like, why is it any different than with the county attorney's office trying to extend?
You said it's what did last year, the sheriff and I both extended the contract in Neptune for another year last year, so whatever you guys wanna do.
Well, we haven't had it since 2022. Maybe we did it incorrectly, but when I look at it, I'm like, how is this really any different than?
there's not a dollar amount
Yeah.
associated with it, but I'm sure that we're gonna probably order more than 10,000, or I should ask the question, are we gonna order more than $10,000 worth of goods from Neptune?
Yes.
I mean, we've been buying from this company for years.
Right, I don't think I think there's a reason to there's a good reason for a bid waiver, but I think it needs a bid waiver. And a reason why.
So can we revise the motion on the fly right now, or do we need to go till next week?
I think I think we just need to come back with it in the same way the county attorney's office. I just don't see it being any different.
But it's hard for you to put an amount in there. I mean, you have to.
We have to get it.
estimate.
Yeah,
And we can come back with this one.
Okay.
Not to exceed.
I'll pass on the sheriff's department, do the same.
yeah, exactly. It's not a big deal. It's just like, we want to make sure we're covered.
He could do it just not to exceed this amount. with
That's-
3.5%.
Yeah.
Okay,
Take care of it.
so do we want
A motion to table the Neptune uniform proposal.
That's,
to, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello?
yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we have a line item transfer.
Make a motion to approve a line item transfer requesting $168,000 dated March 28, 2025. Transferring from inmates at other facilities to equipment non-expendable and new cruising equipment is recommended by the superintendent of the Department of Corrections.
second,
Discussion? I can tell you, I personally don't feel comfortable doing this line item transfer right now. I mean, essentially, we're moving it from inmates moving it from a line that was for inmates being placed at different facilities that we have to pay for
to equipment.
to equipment. And what it really does is sort of just, I feel like it's like a way to put it into this budget, so it's not, there was no intent to get the car. I don't think is, in this budget cycle, so it's like extra money, but that's money that would go back to fund balance. And so I feel like at this point, my thought is we table this so we can look at where we are on third quarter. How much money are we putting back to fund balance this year, right? So for the overall fund balance of next year, and then we bake it into, this can be part of either next year's budget or this year, if we want to make the transfer, we can just be educated on what the third quarter numbers are looking like.
So what is the money going to be used for? One vehicle
Yeah, one vehicle and upfitting.
and all the stuff that's gonna
Yeah.
go into it?
Yeah, so it is in next year's budget already. Is that we have money to do this year's budget, kind of like we did the last time we did a cruiser. We used money that we had in the budget to take care of it, so it wasn't put into the next year's budget.
So does that mean that we can deduct $68,000 from next year's budget,
Correct, or not do it at all. I mean, it's your guys' choice.
or not
Also-
do it at all?
And also, we can look at a lease. This was just that leases we talked, it cost you a little more money. And whenever you guys want, wanna bring forward, since some vehicles are available, we still get the RFP. And before prices, I assume, are gonna continue going up on vehicles with the tariffs and that kind of stuff. So I did have Jude's department look into vehicles that are out there in availability, and there's some that are out there. This we're looking at too is also looking at the hybrid model to save gas for the county. Working with Jude's department, excited about doing that, and she'll be able to calculate out how much savings that is and if it's worth switching the fleets over. At least at the jail, switching our fleets over as we move forward with hybrid to save gas for the county. So I just want to put in there, is an opportunity if you want to do it. If not, it's okay. It's just, I bring it forward to your attention.
So this is one vehicle,
One vehicle.
and we need another vehicle?
No, it's just one vehicle.
No, but this is a necessary,
Yeah, so we have,
Who's gonna be driving it?
so this will be, go to me, we'll move down the fleet down because we have one vehicle that's got 110,000 miles off in 2015. I still like to retain that, but that will go to,
You're gonna be driving it?
Yeah. I'll be done. And then Tahoe will move down. The 2015 vehicle, we have got 110,000 miles on it. We move that down so that way, instead of hanging on the road with the inmates, it would go to the pretrial services, all the ones that are actually costing us mileage back and forth to the courts, to their home checks and those kinds of things.
so my position on this, is that I think it's okay to make the line item transfer, but I don't want to. Because, I mean, assuming we're not going to need that money, well, I don't know why
Yeah,
bother go through it if we're not gonna use it for that, because we get it back anyway.
Correct. That's the thing. It's like whether it's not really a savings on next year's budget because it's just money that is gonna be put back into fund balance. Like it's a push. So I'd rather wait and see what, and it's like, I mean, it's a push because either we put the money back into fund balance and use it to fund the car next year, or like,
Yeah.
and so it feels to.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
My inclination is to either table it till we, or, I'm not gonna support it right now because I think we need to look at our budget items before we, especially because,
I think
Your car's
we're
pretty
gonna
nice.
get the car, we just gotta find out where the money's coming from.
Yeah,
That's all, whether
Again,
it's out
or-
from the budget or out of this line.
Yeah, again, there's other options too. One is option, not getting one at all. One option is to look at leases. I did put in next year's budget. I just brought this forward because there's a way to do it here. It's whatever mechanism the commissioners wants to do, we're not doing.
So I think we should table this for.
Yeah.
Till we have some more numbers that look like predicting the end of the third.
Yeah.
End of the third quarter at least.
I agree.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table this line item transfer.
Second,
Any further discussion? On the motion, Commissioner Tombrilla,
yes,
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, we have a bid waiver request for Honeywell.
make a motion to approve the proposal and bid waiver request for Honeywell International in the amount of $147,667.01 for the installation of 13 additional cameras at the Department of Corrections, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the senior director of facilities for the IT.
Second,
Any discussion?
Nothing on grants for this, Chuck? We look, I mean, when we were an event there, and they really, I think Superintendent, they had mentioned a lot of cameras, and we went on our field trip, that there was grants that did apartments.
They got grants for under PREA. So I asked them, look, if there's any grants on PREA right now, doesn't see many grants on, doesn't see many federal grants.
Disappear.
Things have disappeared.
Disappeared off.
That's how they got a lot of cameras, because that takes away the blind spots and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is a lot of federal grant money is,
Yeah, things temporarily are not showing up that would
Right.
normally be annual
Okay.
notice of funding opportunities. Grants, so.
in our cameras, as you know, we're having issues.
Penny, this is like, let's not be, penny wise and pound foolish.
All we need.
Yeah.
The clarity,
Well, I mean, it's so valuable all over the place. And obviously, we're doing the bid waiver request because we have the Honeywell system, just, this is for everybody in Zoom land. That, or may watch this later, that this isn't, the rationale, so we have, because we have all of the rest of the infrastructure tied to Honeywell. Does anybody have anything further? Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello, and I vote yes. Thank you. Assignment of engagement letter approval, the finance office. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Use of contingency fund discussions.
I got a final
Sorry,
price
thank you.
from the vendor on that, breaker.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about $42,000. I know you had talked about reaching out and making an effort to use contingency funds. The breaker is gonna be 4 to 6 weeks out from the time we order it in any case, but I wasn't sure if that should go as like a transfer request to the board. Or if you just want a long narrative to share with the, I just wasn't sure how you wanted me to go forward.
I did talk to Representative Wilder, so when this came up, I mean, that's what that money's for. He said he would support it. He told me definitely we would support it, so.
I think, but I feel like the delegation might I mean, I don't know, you guys may have insight as well, but historically, they want something coming from the board to them. So I think what we should probably do is, because they feel more comfortable with that process, that we are approving it, so if you get a line item, we take the line item of transfer, you bring it to us, we vote,
Yes.
and then we bring it to the delegation requesting it.
Okay. Do you want a narrative additionally, or just do what I can on the transfer
I
request?
think a supplemental narrative would be helpful, just
Perfect.
because I think the delegation will ultimately have
Okay.
questions and can send it off.
Happy to do that. Thank
So,
you.
I mean,
yeah, no, I agree. That's the right way to handle it.
thank you. Thanks, Commissioner Tombrello, I missed that. No, okay, now moving on to the assignment of the engagement letter.
Motion to approve the assignment of engagement letter with CBIZ CPAs, PC effective March 21st, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
Second,
Discussion?
So this is kind of memorialize, CBiz now taking over Markham LP. And so on the, report letters, opinion letters, the name's also changing from Markham LP to CBiz. They're not asking for any changes to, any outstanding engagements for them to perform. They're gonna honor the contract pricing amounts that actually were back under, Melanson. And then Markham took over Melanson, now CBiz effective January 1st this year, actually took over, Markham. So this is just to memorialize that as far as who's doing the engagements.
Okay. Great. I thought the letter came from Markham, though. Did it, when I was looking at I don't know, it doesn't matter. I was just curious. Yeah, oh, yeah, it does say Markham.
Yeah, Markham signing over to CBiz.
Okay. Fine.
That's,
Neither here nor.
I know, it's.
Any further discussion?
no,
Okay. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
yes,
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Travel and training request approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the travel and training request for Finance Officer Employee CN to attend the National PELRA Conference in Portland, Oregon, for labor and employee relations things held June 22nd to June 26th of 2025, and the estimated cost is $3,437.36 as recommended by the Senior Director of Finance.
second,
Discussion?
Chuck, I got a question. Allison is also gonna be going, AK, not Allison. Yours is $411 more. Did you get the penthouse?
No, I'm a member. I'm a member of it.
Oh, okay. Well, very good, Chuck. You didn't get the penthouse.
Oh, really?
That's more money. I'm like, why is he?
No. It's
$411?
against my nature to do that.
Multiple.
Just sleeping the rest of the car and say, bye.
It's the difference of the membership. I'm a member and I have been, so, and I
Just one.
use that
Just
to
checking.
get information and.
you couldn't have Chuck as your plus one? We
No,
weren't that way, huh?
No, thank you.
Not with the HR
The HR director.
I did actually
Just looking to save money.
Allison's coming up with it too. They've never been able to actually go to this, and Allison, you can
Yeah.
talk about it now.
The reason is they fall in April, usually April and May, and right when we're in budget and negotiations. And this time, we're gonna finish up with the delegation and the budget, and it's the very next week.
It's great.
We've had it on our books and we rolled it over for about 4 years.
Oh, man.
It just has never materialized. The next couple of years, again, they run back to April, May timeframe again. So that's
So-
why I called them and said, it looks like we could swing this, but tell me when the delegation finishes
Yeah.
up. So I had to talk to Chuck first.
And they happen to be a little bit earlier this year,
Yeah.
because of how the counter's been backing up, so the target date for that meeting to pass the budget is June 18th,
Yeah.
so the prior Wednesday, so.
Well, every 4 years, it's, they'll be able to go, it seems. All right, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello, and I vote yes. Even with the extra $4. Okay, human resources, educational assistant.
Hold please.
Regularly scheduled programming. Oh, maybe I.
Right.
Well, they are still there. We got this on our side. We're good.
All right, we're back. Commissioner Tombrello, will you please, remake that motion?
Motion to approve the proposed changes for the educational assistance reimbursement program policy with the reimbursement request form recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I have questions on this. It would appear we're
Okay, we should be back up and running.
Okay.
Commissioner Godu.
So I'm taking note that we're doubling the amount of money for educational assistance available to employees. And we've lost the funding source. We were using ARPA before. So my question, it surrounds how much money total, I mean, it's doubled from 2,000 to 4,000 per employee. But you know, how many employees take advantage of that? How much money are we talking about? I mean, if we've got 3 employees that are looking to educate themselves and we're gonna spend, you know.
So I want to correct that. We are not using ARPA fund for the educational assistance program. We're using ARPA money for the LMA
Apprenticeship.
program, the apprenticeship.
Okay,
So
so
have
we've
not-
already funded
This
the,
has been funded.
Okay.
It remains there. The problem is we've had people come to us with this. We haven't updated any of our rates since 2017. The course costs have gone up significantly. We also had an issue a couple of times that came to the board where a general class, a general ed class had to be part of their program in order to get their degree. And so we didn't address that. And we did do an exception a couple of times to the board for general ed classes. There was some discrepancy on that at times, so they couldn't get their degree without having those general ed classes in there. So we've added that in there.
yeah, that was the other.
So that's one of the reasons we're doing that. What we're trying to achieve is for those people that are kind of the nursing program or other programs where there's succession planning going on throughout the organization. We're allowing folks to have the opportunity to take up to 2 classes, maybe 3. It depends on their schedule because they're working full time if they can. To utilize that to pay for the cost increase for courses. Courses have gone up in different colleges and universities across. Not everybody goes to SNHU because they don't offer nursing programs there. There's different things that are going on. But we'll fund those core classes, those classes that are necessary in that degree program, such as nursing or some other classes. To have 100% funding on those. That like a core class would be covered out. If they get an A, they're gonna get 100% of the core class.
Up to 4,000.
Up to $4,000. And it varies. When we're putting up to $4,000, $2,000 is only gonna get them 1 class. The $4,000 may or may not get them 2 classes, or it may, depending on if they go to a community college. And it may fund up to 3 classes, but no, have we had a lot of traction with it? Yes, with 1 person in particular, 1 or 2 people here have used it pretty significantly over the years. But we also haven't had as much publicity and push this out to let them know, we do want them to stay with us. If there is a program that will help allow them to evolve in their career here with us, such as in the finance track, it could be a business office track, it could be, you know, the nursing program, it could be any of those things. We want those individuals to have that opportunity to do that. It's a short, I know it looks like a lot, but it's a short investment to a long-term goal to keep somebody within the organization or stay if they want to. They want to know, I know as part of retention, people want to know they have a pathway forward to do something. Somebody that's taking night classes, they're probably not going to get their degree in a year or two. It's going to be maybe a little bit longer for them to get through. So it's not like they're leaving us in a year or two because they took a class or two with us. And Chuck's seen part of this money that's in the educational assistance program will help fund the LNA apprentice program, because we may get 2 or 3 people that start off in a course and then drop off, or we've had 2 people that have significantly gone through and utilized our money over the years and obtained their bachelor's degree in a program and are still with us.
Okay, so my question still is, how much money are we spending in this line item? And, you know, what do we think this is gonna change it to?
Well, there's 2 different things. So one part is the LNA piece that is currently ARPA funded. The board had approved 29,600. That also started becoming used for M&A and some other pieces there. There was about 6 to 7,000, I believe, that end up being obligated by the board as your, final votes there before 12/31, as far as the balance left in that to be utilized. But again, it'd have to be, again, that's gonna end. So that's why we're rolling up the LNA piece into the general fund. Right now, the general fund, we've got $20,000 right now in the tuition assistance or educational assistance program. That's a general government expense line. What you'll see in the department proposed is basically putting in for like 10 amounts for the LNAs and then doing another $10,000 on top of that as far as for the other like class reimbursement pieces.
And it is a first come, first serve for those individuals that want to use the educational assistance.
You mean we use up the line item and then there's no more approvals?
If somebody comes to me, that's typical of any other groups. We've never gone over it.
So what do we?
Here's the other thing with this motion. The motion should actually have money figures in it. It says to propose the approval of proposed changes. I mean, it should say that.
It
I'm
was,
hearing the 2 to 4,000, but it's not in the motion. I'm hearing.
it was because it's in the
It's in the back.
it's in the support, in the, what the rate, in the policy, it's going to have that, it has that amount. With the changes.
And there's a pre-employment, there's also the pre-approval process that we're using for it before. We're having them come to the HR office to produce their stuff to make sure A, it aligns with something within the organization in the department or life. And B, then a commissioner sits on that because they also have to look at it, review it and approve it as well. And that's,
So we approve each request
yes.
and we have the ability to deny for whatever reason we decide we don't want to fund it.
Correct.
All right, so we can control the line item if it's out of control. That was my concern.
Well, that's been, we've always had
I
a
agree.
Okay,
commissioner sitting on this to allow for that
Yeah.
oversight.
okay.
I think the changes to the policy are good in terms of covering that gap as well, the general ed
Yeah.
fund. Well,
Agreed.
And I talked with Chuck, we talked about it at length about how, LNAs will come out of this, but if we have more than 10 that come forward for an LNA apprentice, that will eat some of this money up because that would be considered a priority. And that's just the likelihood.
And the LNA apprenticeship program is only $2,600, so it's not, we're closer to
Right.
that 2,000 than that 4,000
Right.
side anyway, just
Right.
as a frame of reference. Okay.
Yeah, I hope we use up a lot of it. I'll make a line item transfer, so just, to get more LNAs into that program, absolutely, so.
Again,
Don't worry, if you want to get educated, we're ready to help you.
that is penny wise.
Yeah,
Penny, town wise.
I'm hoping we might have an LPN that might come forward that wants their RN, you know what I mean?
That would be nice.
That's kind of why I'm looking at the rates a little bit to try to help offset if we do and we promote that.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't gonna
Yeah,
jump
go
in.
ahead.
sound selfish in it, because it's
No.
my LNAs and my
Motivated.
people. But I will say that a lot of the areas, even like Hillsborough County Home actually has budgeted in where they sponsor some of their LNAs for LPNs now. So a lot of our competitors are assisting with that because, you know, finances aren't easy. And if you have someone that's dedicated to be able to grow them into a nurse, it is something that as an industry, you're seeing more and more of.
Okay,
Good,
great.
I'm happy.
Anyone, okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu?
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello, and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, quarter position changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the title change from fiscal services manager to fiscal and reception service manager, revised job description as regrade from R17 to R19, continue. Effective May 18, 2025, pending executive committee approval as recommended by the senior director of human resources.
second.
Discussion?
Only that I need to take a break.
By all
And,
means.
I've read all these motions and yeah, I'm happy for you to approve them with 2
Yes.
votes.
I think, what I'll say is just talk generally. A lot of this is, with respect to, working in long-term care, trying to, for efficiencies, right? It's to work best with, to work most efficiently with all the various, positions in terms of all the technical aspects related to billing and records and management systems, so. I'm just gonna speak generally. I reviewed everything. I think it looks good. It makes sense. There's some going up, some going down, but it's all to have more
Team together.
equity and efficiency. Do you want to share anything else?
No, it's been a project, but I think looking at kind of assuring that things that people are doing are in the job description, that we're compensating fairly for tasks that have kind of just fallen on different kind of departments that they've been covering. And also, as we look at some of the goals we have, where we have the RCM meetings, which Chuck sits in on the nursing home side of it, where we're really looking around our collections, our processes, our being proactive in identifying Medicaid before we have these large gaps and someone pass in these large write-offs. So we've changed some of the functions within the department to come to a more proactive stance. But in doing so, it has added additional
Highlighted.
tasks to other people.
Right, and highlighted gaps and.
Yep.
Extra workload. The other thing, is this is an area that really hasn't been looked at in a while. And so I know I appreciate your efforts to try to make sure, people are properly compensated and, you know, their job descriptions will reflect what they're supposed to be doing, what they're actually doing.
Mhm.
Okay, well, you came back, you missed not a beat, Commissioner.
Oh, perfect.
Would it make sense to just read all the motions, because we talked about them collectively and then vote collectively?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
each motion, then and motion to.
Correct. Does anybody have any objection to that? It will make it.
Yeah, I would prefer that.
All right, I guess that means I gotta read all these.
Yeah,
Motion to approve the title change from
crack
medical.
open this.
bill-
Bubbly.
Medical, bill to billing and accounts technician, revised job description and regrade from an R05 to R08. Effective May 18, 2025, pending executive committee approval as recommended by the senior director of human resources. The next one is to approve a revised job description downgrade from an R9 to an R6 for the medical records technician effective May 18, 2025, with the current employee's rate of pay grandfathered and no change to evaluation date as recommended by the senior director of human resources. And a motion to approve the job description for the accounts payable clerk effective May 18, 2025, as recommended by the senior director of human resources. A motion to approve the job description for the program case technician effective May 18, 2025, as recommended by the senior director of human resources. motion to approve the job description for the business office assistant effective May 18, 2025, as recommended by the senior director of human resources.
Good
Second.
job, Commissioner Tombrello. Any further discussion
No,
on the motions? Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu.
yes,
And I vote yes. Now we have the revised job description regrade.
If we make a motion to approve the title change from records management technician to records management specialist, revised job description regrade from an R6 to an R11, effective May 18th, 2025, pending executive committee approval as recommended by the senior director of human resources.
second,
Any discussion? Okay, Commissioner Godu,
yes,
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. We have a repurpose regrade title change to the department.
I'll make a motion to approve a repurpose, retitle, and downgrade of the executive assistant position R12 to an accountant position, grade R5, effective May 18, 2025, as recommended by the senior director of human resources.
second,
Discussion? No, okay. Anyone? Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
And I vote yes.
I think it was question.
Yes.
And the other one was grandfathers. The other one had a grandfather that I got to try and focus on my eyes here. One had a grandfather, and this one doesn't.
That. Are you saying that the position, the rate was grandfathered in?
Yeah.
But that's,
Yeah.
this is,
This one's vacant.
yeah,
Sorry.
that was, with the retirement, this is opening up with the term preference, the position
Oh,
was a
sure.
retirement. And so now there's an adjustment away from there to help support Catherine. And that will be in a new grade, new hire.
So that one's
No,
not filled, that one's open. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's like in your grandfather, you like to give things away. Well, no.
Papa, okay. All right, Papa, moving on to the travel and training request for AK. Yeah.
Motion to approve a travel and training request for human resources employee to attend the National PELRA conference in Portland, Oregon, for labor and employee relations training to be held June 22nd to June 26th, 2025, and an estimated cost of $3,026.36, as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
second,
Discussion? We already had that. Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
yes,
And I vote yes. Moving on to long-term care services, we have the adult medical daycare request for Easterfield.
I'll make a motion to approve the adult medical daycare request dated March 24, 2025 to Easterfield. From additional client, RO. At an amount of $80 per day for the 2 days per week, as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
second,
Discussion? We already touched on this, we can support
We
it,
have.
we have the money.
we have the money,
Okay, Commissioner Godu,
yes,
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes,
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
We have a bid waiver request for Yankee equipment.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid waiver request for the Yankee equipment in the amount of $22,869.32 for the purchase of a Millmore 60-pound capacity walker, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the Senior Director of Long-Term Care Services.
second,
Discussion?
If I can just, so
Yeah.
we did do an RFP, we got no responses. This vendor is the only one in this area that is able to provide it. It's also the same brand, is my understanding, as the ones we have. So it would kind of align from a usage, parts, labor, et cetera. And it's probably, money wasn't covered from
Yeah.
last year.
Last year's budget. Woohoo! And it also is supposed to be more efficient from a labor perspective, right?
Yeah,
Which is great.
we've been down in machines for a little while now, so we had less machines to even work through kind of the process.
okay, that answered my question.
All right, Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to, we have the Vantage Healthcare LLC.
Make a motion to approve Advantage Healthcare LLC practice screening effective May 5th, 2025 for on-site medical service and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents and recommend that the director of home care services.
second,
Discussion?
If I just may, so, currently, all of our residents in the assisted living have to go out to their doctor of choice in the community. We don't have an option for them to be followed internally, though we do support on our side with our nurse practitioner in emergencies when items come up. But it has our team also talking to up to 30 doctors, different practices, phone calls, et cetera. This company, would be coming in either weekly or every other week, if, depending on the caseload, because it's still residents' choice to be able to change. They would be billing the insurance. There's no cost to us, but it would, assist with us not having, from a workload standpoint, from a time standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint, from a transportation standpoint. And this company has 24/7 care, where doctors' offices in the community don't. So when something's happening at 5 o'clock, we can also then potentially help avoid hospitalizations or be able to act in the moment to support our residents, opposed to potentially it resulting in a hospitalization at the same time.
fair enough.
We like proactive.
Good.
Okay.
And they bill their insurance, so
Oh, wow.
there's no funds for us in any.
Yay. And better quality of care.
Yep, and they
So-
take Medicaid.
Better, what I'm hearing is better, more efficient for us, better care for them, and no cost to us.
Yep, and it's still the resident's choice. They can still elect
Be any
to
better.
do their outside provider, but they
Right.
would have a provider coming in, rounding available, either every other week or weekly.
Great. Thank you for tracking that down. All right. Commissioner, I don't know who to call this. Commissioner Godu,
Yes,
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Now, good thing our 9:30 got delayed because we returned to a busy day. I'll start in Zoom land. I see Sheriff this and Rich Sawyer. Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. We continue to be extremely busy. The other day, we assisted Exeter with 4 subjects with guns. We deployed our drone, K9 unit, deputies. Just been, everything's on an uptick over here, and that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Good morning, Kathy.
Morning, everybody. We've seen, obviously, I think I spoke with, Commissioner Godu. Just on Monday, we did almost $1 million, in, activity here in the office. It's been very busy. The end of the month, last, month shows us up, revenues 8% in the receipts and 11% in transfer tax. So we're happy to see that because the month before that, we were obviously in the negative. So that's a good thing. I wanted to let you know that meeting with Senator Carson next week on the 9th to go over, I think it's about 9 different items that are going to really negatively affect the county budgets. And so we're trying to get on top of that. So I'll report after I meet with her to see what she says about them. I will tell you, you should take a look at the amendment to House Bill 2 on the retirement, because they're proposing a Group 3 retirement, which is a defined contribution. But even though it's a combined contribution, which falls outside of the retirement system, okay? It's going to be part of the compensation, the 457 type, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. It's going to go under the. Yes. What's going to happen is it's going to fall under administrative services up at the state under the deferred compensation. However, they still want, no matter, would be effective as of January 1 of 26, that basically anybody who goes into this new Group 3 which doesn't include the sheriff's people or the correctional people, okay? It's just the regular, normal, everyday employees. The county would be responsible to pay 10.11% on every one of these employees, regardless, they're not part of the retirement system, for the unaccrued liability, which is over $5 billion right now in that retirement system. So we're talking about a substantial amount of money, substantial amount of changes, because of course they're talking about bringing back what happened in 2011 to try to improve the system and make it, viable. So that's going to be interesting, and you guys should know about that. Other than that, that's all I have to report. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. I do want to thank, I'm sorry. I do want to thank the finance department, Chuck and Elaine, for working diligently with TD Bank, who tried to change how we deposit our money. We've been going back and forth, and this morning I did receive an email saying that they would be accepting our deposits daily from the courier, and they would be deposited on time like they're supposed to be. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kathy. Hey, Kathy, I have one question. I know we'll talk about it more in budget season, but do you have a sense of how your revenues are coming in for the year? It's just, the real estate market has been unpredictable.
Yeah, to say the least. Well, yeah, to say the least. I mean, I'm obviously going to hit my mark. I'm hoping to come in a little bit over.
Wow.
Just a little bit over, but the transfer tax has been insane. So, I mean, that's what's really saving us is our 4% commission. Seriously, because when I talk about Monday alone, it was unbelievable. The transactions that took place, some of them $31 million transaction that was in Hampton. So, I mean, basically that's what's saving us is the value of these properties and our 4% that we're receiving from the transfer tax. So, but I think we'll hit it. We're going to hit it.
Great. I contributed Monday, Kathy. I was contributing to the transfer tax money. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I mean, it is curious in the sense of, it's like budgeting for revenues for you for next year is so difficult. I mean, I know prices have gone up, but there's no refis. You're like, to your point, you're focused on transfer tax, but with the market instability, it's really, and I noticed that you went up with revenues, which is, great, but how realistic these things are, and you usually do a really quite tight budget, but thanks for that. It's helpful to sort of get that sense.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all for Zoom land. I see. Yeah, that's it. Okay, we'll come into the room. Would you like to kick it off first?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. All's well in facilities. We are very busy now that we're buried in the budget. I am going to be looking at some line item transfer requests that I'll be forwarding along probably for next week's meeting. Mostly purchase services, which has, we've been watching that all year, so it's coming. We got a permit yesterday from DOT for the water line improvements. We are having some issues with the pedestrian improvements. They are questioning, we signed off, Commissioner Godu signed on a sidewalk agreement with the state because North Road is a state road, and last Thursday or Friday, DOT said that they don't enter into agreements with counties, that the agreement would have to be with the town of Brentwood. So that would probably require us entering into some sort of third-party agreement with Brentwood. I've been meeting this afternoon with the civil engineer and the architect to see if we can kind of talk it through and make a better argument to DOT, just because it'll be such a protracted process and everything has been thus far. They pressurized the fire loop. It's up, the inside the building is activated. They pressurized the water loop yesterday, so it's not tied up to anything, but it's under pressure. If it holds, they'll be doing disinfection and we'll have domestic water in the building before you know it.
Wow.
So that's really exciting
good
too.
news.
Yeah,
That's really good news.
it is great. Yeah, it's just another big milestone.
Yeah.
We are working on replacing signs around the complex. A lot of them were aged and fading. It took us the better part of the year to get pricing from the state prison. Superintendent Henry was very helpful with us. The contact at the sign shop was gone and we were having an awful time of it, and Jason gave us a hand and we finally got pricing. We started bringing the signs in, so it's nice because things are looking a little more level and not faded. It just makes it a much better presentation.
Yeah.
With spring coming, you know, we'll be planting flowers and et cetera. Working on some access control upgrades in the long-term care facility. We're out there today doing wiring. We just have a lot of stuff going on everywhere. Our annual backflow report was due to the state Tuesday. We sent it in. It was last year's report and it was not comprehensively reported on because of a previous staff person. So we're working on, they said they would accept this year's report, recognizing that it was a staffing issue. The work was done, but it wasn't documented properly. And there's a couple of that we're probably gonna have to be replacing over in the mechanical room. Details, but all's well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jude. I just think that the infrastructure work, I mean, all we see is pricing going up. So to the extent that we got this infrastructure work, all sorts of infrastructure work done, that is gonna last us for the next 30+ years, it's like,
I'm grateful every day.
yeah,
Yep,
and
it's amazing.
we can all say, you're
Avoids an
welcome.
emergency.
Well, yeah, no, and it's like, you're welcome to, commissioners' future, you
Right.
know, or the county future, right?
It would have been
It's like-
awful to try and peck away at this stuff in capital, for sure.
I know.
It's been wonderful.
Well, I mean, you've done a just fantastic job managing all, so, like, I don't know, you really did, your juggling is skills are incredible.
Still wanna have it around for the apartment complex, so.
You
I
were,
don't know when we get the new building done, all right? Yeah, for the housing.
Oh, we're gonna put an apartment complex in the farm now?
One more for you, no? We gotta work and-
no, you won't.
Tiny houses.
Tiny houses.
Kind of-
Yeah, Brentwood doesn't approve of 2 families or more.
I
You know,
lost that part.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, thank you, Jude. Chuck?
I'll try to be brief, just quick hitting things. So, we are working on the 3/31/25 quarterly statements, general fund and other funds. We are also, putting together preliminary year-end numbers, not just for certain other funds like we do the internal service fund that are presented at the 3/31 meeting, by the executive committee. We're also doing it for the general fund now, as far as the grant numbers, that way that commissioners can have that data when we're going over stuff.
Yes, thank you.
This week.
Thank you.
Obviously, we're now in April, so it's gonna be a fun month for grant reporting. And I think the Fed's gonna be probably scrutinizing the ARPA, the SLRF reporting a little bit closer. But again, we've got everything obligated, so we'll see what they try to challenge or not from that. Obviously, extremely
Spend.
busy with budgets, very busy with things at the state. County cap is still a big thing. Like it was mentioned, at
Yes,
the
sir.
onset, we are dealing with, kind of negative pressures as far as some cost increasing standpoint out of our control. You know, and we'll see what, you know, tariffs and other things have an effect on that going forward. And then also as far as, revenue, you know, it's like the 3% Medicaid decrease that currently Division 3 is, pushing through at the state level. So I just being up at the state to provide input to the state senate
Advocate.
and other things.
Yeah.
And then part of that will be the discussion tomorrow, because, we've got our executive committee meeting at AHAC tomorrow in Concord. We've got our county administrators call. At the county administrators call, would be going over various cap scenarios and see what's the best strategy to push forward in the Senate as far as it goes with DHHS items. And for some of us also lead into what we do at the County and State Finance Commission, because that's primarily about DHHS items, how the county and the state can work together to provide the overall best outcomes. Again, just very busy with everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for all your efforts. Allison?
Hey, it's just quick budget roll up, and doing some other changes to policies and other things, has taken a lot of my time. and negotiations, of course, a couple of MOUs I have to still work on. And then I'll be prepping those CBAs, starting to work on that. And then I've been working with Gallagher on their presentation and going over what renewal is gonna look like and some of that stuff for the presentation to them. So thank you.
You know, we can all take a nice nap on 4th of July. Until then, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason?
Sure, in-house 137. Obviously, been working on budget. The academy's going on right now. We have 4 cadets there, graduates on the 25th. Thank you to Jude and Rob and their team working on our doors with swipe card access, which has made things a lot easier inside the jail. We have some more coming, which is good. More cameras coming in. And Jude knows that we've been talking over it again. The quality of cameras is failing, and so are some of the panels. It's gonna be a bigger discussion as we move forward in the future, but we're trying to do what we can to kind of keep it together. Allison's been handling a lot of, we've had some internal investigations she's had to handle, so that's also been added to her plate, but working back and forth with us, so that's been difficult, but I appreciate it. And we just got our DEA license renewed again, so that was good. No issues with there. And a couple of things next week, I'll probably have on there for you is 2 contracts for outside housing for females, and they're trying to be updated, so they'll be on the for you guys next week. And last is, since I'm saying opioid abatement committee, I'm sure some of you saw that the state's kind of rated the opioid abatement. To pay for the alcohol fund and Granite Shield. Alcohol fund is $10.6 million a year for the next 2 years, and I'm sure that's just gonna be in perpetuity. And I don't know how much Granite Shield is gonna be, but I have a meeting next week with our committee, so I'm sure I'll have more information how that shakes out.
It's not coming to us. That's not in the same way it was anticipated.
Well, a good thing is we still get 15% off the top.
I meant to the extent that there were grant funds available from the state that we could apply to.
Well,
You
the good
think
thing on that too is we gave $5 million out to a company or entity to be able to manage like $75,000 grants, smaller grants that get them sooner. So we still have that ability, which is good. We've already given them the money.
Yeah.
So, and we give money to housing as well too. So there's, at least that's already out there moving forward. Yeah, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Chantel,
Hi. So you did beat my census. My census is 127. There'll be 3 admissions coming in today. On the nursing home side, we're at 46 on the assisted living. We still have cases. We have 2 staff with COVID and 1 resident. And we have 2 staff with flu. We actually had 1 test positive during this meeting, bringing us to 2. So unfortunately, we're still seeing it. Just some general items that haven't been talked about. We had our mock survey last week, so working on some follow-up items and some kind of cleanup, so to speak, and processes around that. We are in a Med B audit, pre-audit for our compliance company as we speak, where they will be exiting today. Sodexo did send over the contract this morning. Haven't looked at it yet. We will pass that on, but I believe that we already sent it to Primex to review, just to kind of be able to keep things going. And the new guidance for nursing homes currently, the date's been moved a couple times now, is for the end of this month. There's a lot of kind of components and legwork around it, with a big focus on non-pharmacological interventions and kind of some of the documentation and pieces around that. So really kind of formulating a plan, doing some audits, in addition to just our regular survey prep and cleanup. And I have a lot of my team that's either been at different trainings this week or are out of training, the PCC conference coming to the end. Hopefully we'll have the solution for that line for the assisted living to be able to utilize the bank. But there was a lot around advanced directives and PASARs, which is always a sticky subject. So excited to kind of hear what the team learned and be able to grow some of the departments that otherwise haven't been to trainings in a while, and refresh some of that. Otherwise, budgeting was time consuming. So catching up from that.
Layla, last but certainly not least.
I have
Okay. So, does anybody, let's see. That's it. We're moving on to we have Gallagher coming in, but not for a little bit. So will anybody have any other new business or old business? No? No?
Nope.
All right, next week we have a fairly lengthy, we're gonna start budget session, so we're gonna meet with all the groups. Just so everybody has a heads up. I think Leila, you kindly already sent out reminders that.
Do we have a schedule yet?
It's in your
Yeah.
calendar.
To, no, of who's coming in at what time?
Yeah.
Okay, all
for
right,
the
great.
camp. They're-
I know it's like 8:30 to 2:30 there, all day, yeah, all day.
Later than 2, because I'm after 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's
We come
okay.
at 2:30. I think I'm the 2:30.
It's all day.
It's all day.
We're gonna, yeah, we might be bringing our sleeping bags. But anyway, actually, any extra, Chantel, any extra bags?
I do. Let me know, I can have a room made up for you.
Yep. Okay, public comment, I don't see anyone. With that, I think what we'll do is, because Gallagher is coming at 11, we'll move into non-public and then come out of non-public for the Gallagher presentation at 11. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion.
Somebody coming in to see us, is that,
That's.
We have
the-
non-public.
We have non-public,
there is somebody coming?
no, that's been resolved.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So,
Make a motion, go on non-public and then RSA 91-8:3, Roman numeral 2A, personnel.
Second,
on the motion, Commissioner Tombrilla.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, we're heading into non-public. We have, Allison.
Can we do Chantel first?
Yes.
Mine will be a little bit.
Okay.
Or so, makes more sense for the.
I mean. Hello, everyone. We're back in public session. We have a presentation shortly, but first we're going to make some motions with respect to that non-public session. Commissioner Tombrilla.
I'll make a motion to see the non-public minutes from today's meeting, and definitely because it is determined that developments in this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than the member of this board. And we have
Second.
5 items.
Second,
Any discussion?
No.
On the motion, Commissioner Godu.
yes.
Commissioner Tombrilla, and I vote yes. And actually, so if you're willing, I'm going to make a motion with respect to the meeting minutes we tabled. And
Yes.
okay, I move to approve the March 13th, 2025 non-public meeting minutes with the following amendments. One, that the initials DON in non-public session 1 be reflected to say Director of Nursing. And 2, there was an inversion of 2 individuals we talked about, and they were, I think the intent of the speaker was to use the names in opposite, and we will amend the minutes to reflect the intent of the speaker.
Agreed. Second,
On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Tombrilla, and I vote yes. Okay, now we're going to transition to our meeting with Gallagher, and I'll go get.
Are we done after that?
Then Kathy.
I printed out.
So jealous, welcome to Aruba.
Just in case I printed it off in case you want to make notes or something.
Great, thank you.
Really? Yeah.
You know what?
Leila, I want to give you my answer about the budget book. I know nobody's weighed in.
Okay.
I have one as a extra.
Yeah.
We should do it after.
Okay, we'll do it afterwards, because we need to decide which is gonna.
Yeah, I said Dr. Martin, but I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
Brian's gonna put it down.
Thank you.
Yes, I thought, yeah, just so we're on the same page.
I mean, I need the numbers, so I don't write notes.
Yes,
How many pages are,
it's 34, I think.
okay. And then maybe we need some backup, but I don't think we need all of it. And I don't know which one, I haven't gone through it enough to say I need this, I don't need that,
It's all on.
then it's all not,
How you
Right.
doing, Layla?
So what I've been doing,
just going back and forth.
Didn't have to get your
just
sword out?
using the printout.
Yeah.
Printing out the
was just a
packet, which I
Okay.
did,
That's good.
and then. Right. Checking the,
This is-
everything, the
Yeah.
core
The questions that we
documentation,
talked about.
but there was something. There are like summation pages that some of the departments have that I would think would be helpful to print.
Subjective,
Yes,
we don't need every page.
correct, the summation of like. Here's where, like the explanation, like a
Maybe Irish.
spreadsheet explanation,
Allison has some in her desk
went
drawer.
up and why.
I do not.
That would be helpful to print, so I can look, you know, but like, so
Are we on?
30 pages on.
No, absolutely not.
This is the quote.
Great, great.
Just kidding.
It's 8:30 to 4, because we're doing
After that,
it's all the,
I want the
no,
picture.
after that, we're going back to 1 o'clock.
oh, yes.
That was what he was asking.
Flowers and
You
sunshine.
got, you were saying.
Next week's on.
Welcome.
Morning, nice to be here. How's everybody?
Ah, Tough times in the budgeting world.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure-
completely.
I'm sure we're gonna get some more news today.
I was just saying to Julie, I wish I could deliver like great news occasionally, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm always delivering
There-
crappy news.
Yeah.
World of insurance.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh,
take it
so,
away.
Thank you.
So everybody has a copy. Do we want to put it up or just refer to or?
Prefer to.
Okay, that's great. So the agenda page, we're gonna talk about. Yeah, the only thing, what about, Kathy, you able to follow this? Right, Kathy, I don't. Right, so everyone has a copy, right? Okay, great. So we're gonna be, talking about obviously the, benefit roll-ups, and we'll summarize all the plans and what it means from the total. We're gonna look at the, medical administration renewal, the stop loss renewal, which is a little premature, but we do have some numbers, some hard numbers. Talk about the medical projection, look at utilization reports on year end and where we are today. The dental plan summary, that's obviously a little bit easier to talk to, but we'll be going over the same things. The, administrative renewal, plan projections and utilization reports, okay? So if you look at the next screen, which is slide number 3, this is the total roll-up, so snapshot of everything. As I said, underneath is probably the easiest to go over because they're all zeros except for the Amwins retiree medical. There's a slight increase there, but all the other voluntary plans are staying as is with regards to their premiums, so there's no increases there. If you look on the top box, that's where, you know, the bulk of the renewal is, so we're gonna talk about, the stop loss renewal, what we do is the variable cost, which would be the claims and utilization. If you look at there's a lot of zeros in the price change area, so that stuff's low hanging fruit, so your HSA administration is not changing. You know, the funding, that's up to you, and that's it per, you know, count, variables. FSA administration, 0. Cobra administration, no changes there. Same with, healthcare shopping, the, ancillary coverages, which is your basic life, AD&D, short-term disability, and the EAP. So obviously, we're gonna be focusing mostly on your medical projection along with the stop loss renewal, okay? Any questions on this so far?
And really to kind of cut to the chase as far as like, look at the dollars, right, and change from medical, a good chunk of that is the stop loss increase, right, to support the claims that they've been, last 24 months, they've been tough. They're high, they're getting a little bit better, but they're still in that high bracket. And then as far as dental, that 30 grand increase is basically claims because the admin and the fixed cost is staying the same. And then just a quick shout out on the, Amwins retiree medical. We did market that as well. And Amwins actually has the best pricing, even at that 19 overall annual increase of 20 grand. But luckily, there's a lot of zeros, which just helps us focus on the medical, which pretty much, I think, it's like hit repeat again, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Slide 4 is basically your ASO, Administrative Services Only rate history, so this is what we pay Cigna to administer and adjudicate the claims. Obviously, access to the network for the discounts, wellness programs, stuff like that. You can see that the history of that when we flip the page. You can see where we are today. So we're in the midst of a 3-year contract with Cigna, and we're in year 2. So there's I believe, very, very slight increase in their fees.
Yeah, it's only about a point.
Yeah.
So that's why we try to stretch it out, over 3 years versus getting a wall of last year. So we're in the middle of a 3-year rate guarantee and they up to 25K wellness fund, which helps focus in on, employees and spouses and that type of program.
Yeah, so as Brian said, even though there's a very slight increase in the ASO rate, that also includes a $25,000 annual wellness fund that goes back to the county. And there's also a structured increase in the prescription drug rebates. So you should see a little bit of an increase in the rebates coming back to the county.
We get crushed on stop loss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
claims are claims, and you know what I mean, we'll go over that. So let's go to slide 6, which is the stop loss. So you can see where we are. We'll focus on the top box there, the specific stop loss. You can see the deductible is 170 currently. We've asked for revised quotes to include not only the 170, but a slight increase to 180, to 190, or to 200,000, depending on the risk tolerance. And you can see it's kind of not a great number, obviously. I think everybody's aware that we've had some high dollar claims and some that are projected to continue into the new plan year. So that's why that number does not look so high. Okay, so if we remain status quo, we're looking at about a 45% increase, which equates to, well, $384,000. That includes a 50% rate cap, and usually I don't see that as a big plus, but these days it is. You guys are not alone. All of my business is self-funded. When I'm looking at the stop loss rates that are coming in now, there's a lot of them that are coming in 40, 50%. We used to project using 15, then it went to 20. Now, the stop loss market is running pretty high overall, not just in regards. I think it's part of, when I was talking to the actuaries, they're calling it a COVID hangover. We're still in the midst of that. The folks who have postponed preventive care, postponed some procedures that should have been done around there that have exacerbated a little bit. And that's why we're seeing, some of these higher increases in the stop loss area. Prescription drugs is another factor. A lot of R&D that goes into these drugs. They're very costly. They're fantastic. They could be miracle workers in keeping you out of the hospital, improving your life greatly, but they're expensive. Not even to discuss the GLP-1s, you know what I mean? That's just another thing.
Oh,
But
yeah,
we've got groups where their pharmacy spend has exploded over 300%.
because of the GLP ones.
Some.
Yeah,
And
What GLP-1?
the
weight loss.
Ozempic.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's, Mounjaro.
I'm just, yeah,
Yeah, it's a split of really being those attended for diabetes, but they can be covered for weight management. So, and that's where the top.
well, that's why the pricing.
Pricing, same with Humira. Humira started off as obviously an anti-inflammatory drug. Now you've had multiple conditions that are treating. These weight loss drugs, or the GLP-1s, we're seeing them even for alcoholism. So they're prescribing it for people who are alcoholic.
It's just suppress,
Yeah,
just essentially an appetite suppressant.
exactly. And, you know, our kind of MO or our advice to folks who are considering implementing these is to really wait. There's a lot of side effects that we've been seeing. Obviously, the explosion in the cost of these things to your plan, but also to have, you know, more of a strict guideline on what you need to do to qualify. Because if it's just a BMI index, the threshold's not very high. I mean, I would qualify. I don't think I'm that bad. I just came back from vacation, I could qualify. So that's kind of like a little summary of where we are in that market.
We're still on page 6, I just want a clarification question.
Sure.
The bottom line on this page, it would appear to me that if we raise our deductible to 200,000, we're gonna have an increase of 26% instead of 45%.
Yep.
That's the bottom line?
Yep.
And it's probably your recommendation?
We're getting there.
Okay, all right, okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood the slide.
Yeah.
The premium that, I mean, the question is that balance of the premium rate to the,
Right, so you have to anticipate like how many claims that are gonna go over the current 170 that you would have to pay that additional $30,000
Right.
now.
Right,
How many of those would eat up that fixed savings in your stop loss premium?
yep, okay.
And there's no crystal ball, but we kind of have a rough idea where, you know, historically you're gonna come in.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll go to the next page, and, this is, a slide that's going to include some options for lasers. Is everybody familiar with what a laser is on a claim? So this is when the stop loss carrier will selectively pick out claimants, you know, one of your members, that they feel like is going to generate a stop loss claim. So they
Yeah,
feel
we talked
very
about that.
strongly that it's gonna go over
Yep.
that 170, 180, 190, 200, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And so what they do is they basically single that one out to say, you're on the hook for it. But in return, your premium's gonna drop substantially because you're running the risk on it.
yeah.
And really what
Understood.
it boils down to, I think Keith was kind of get to the point, right? There's 3 big claimants the last 24 months. One we know about is about 1.2 mil. And that person is coming off the plan Cobra at the end of the year, this
Right.
year.
But
But
we own them for
what,
the whole
but
year.
what's coming underneath that is there's 2 other large losses estimated around, you'll see on the laser levels, 300 and 400,000, both with autoimmune.
They're
So it's
chronic.
big, it's
They're not
chronic.
going away.
And that's why kind of seeing that decent increase still on the stop loss. And again, you know, talking to Allison, we talked to her and Julie routinely about the financials, but this is what happens. It's just there's a swing when you have really tough claims from, 24, 12 months, and then it kind of calms down. So hopefully, still kind of
Page
dealing with
14.
that, but hopefully things will kind of a little bit, but that's really why there's an increase there on.
If you look at page 14, it has the high claimant, which is,
Yeah, that top one, but that just shows you through June 30th, 2024. We know we've exceeded that, right? So,
but it gives you a point of
yeah,
reference.
yeah. And that one will drop in December, and then the next two claimant 2 and claimant 3. Those are the ones that we're watching because they're actively in treatment and continuous. So that's why they're kind of flagged as your next 2, because it looks like they'll continue. What that will look like, it may not be as much, they may ebb and flow, but they're out there.
That's right. That's
They're
right.
getting out there.
And Cigna didn't offer anything without a laser, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So on page 7, now we've gone out to market, so we haven't completed all the analysis on stop loss yet. We're waiting for some of our carriers to quote or to, decline to quote or say not competitive, one or the other. We also have our captive that we're looking at. But if you look at page 7, Cigna did
Or 6.
provide a proposal and a quotation for your stop loss, but they only offered an option that has those lasers in place. And it's pretty competitive if you look at it.
What is, I'm sorry, can you explain what the laser to me?
Yeah, Probably the next slide is probably easy to show that,
Okay.
Yeah, so page 8,
Let's go page eight, yeah, go ahead, John.
so really, kind of the easiest way to look at this, there's a couple columns we have here in rows. But, you know, HM, you see the stagnant as is renewal at 44.9, right? Really 45%, that's no leases. So the next two columns, HM and Cigna, offered, what would it look like if you had the lasers? And you kind of see the green highlight, that's the section you want to look at. So there's claimant A and claimant B. All right, and really, I think we want to focus probably on Cigna here, because this might be a good option to consider. So you know, they have your medical admin, they know the claims, right? They know what's going on before you guys do, right? This is the first time we've really been able to get Cigna to provide a competitive proposal.
Yeah.
Now,
for
you'll
stop-
see on the next couple pages, we went to about 9 other carriers and they all took a pass. They just, we don't wanna, we'd like to look next year and hopefully the claims experience has calmed down. Okay, so with Cigna, obviously, what they're doing is they basically match the current ISL rates, basically match HM's current premium overall. But what they did, and this becomes a risk tolerance thing, you can see in claimant A, instead of 170 for a deductible, they would put 325 on that person and 425 for claimant B. What is that telling us? That's what they project claims for those two people. That's what Allison was getting at. There's 2 more sick people. All they're trying to do is support the premium to support the claims. They're not trying to, it's not highway robbery. It's a very simple equation. So if you run down, right, with, say for example, on the lasers, you know, even if you look at HM, if they go right through the lasers and saturate those amounts in full, right? The bottom line is right today, it's a 45% increase. If you had lasers with HM, the bottom line is 64. Cigna would be 48. Now, if you look in the independent boxes on the right-hand side, okay, again, I just want to focus in on Cigna just because it's a little simpler. The additional laser liability is 410,000.
Right.
So if your lasers, so in this situation, you could, scenario this all day long, but let's pretend everybody stays under 170 and no one goes near those laser levels, right? With the
It's
laser.
not gonna happen.
Right, and so that's where you would win out on premium with Cigna, because it's currently what you pay. What they're saying is, you got 2 sick people, we need to underwrite them separately with lasers, and that's where our concern is. If you go through it and you roll the dice and you pick the lasers, you know that claimant A is 325, claimant B 425, everyone else at 170. So it's, yeah, Kate, you're already heading, I think we're headed.
I mean, so the price, I mean, essentially, it's like, they'll match last year's policy, but we incur the 410,000 for the lasers for those kids.
Potential liability.
But, I mean, the reality is, like, I think we need to look at it in the context of, like, we viewed these claimants, we've watched these claimants over the past year plus, we know the likelihood of hitting the lasers is
Fairly substantial.
fairly substantial. So the question is, when we look at the plan increase, I mean,
So, yeah,
it's
so
not that much different. How is it really different
it's
than?
not. It's not. If
Yeah.
they blow through the lasers, basically Cigna's just a little bit higher than HM.
It's
And
the
there's probably
same as,
not enough delta there to move,
right,
right? You're between 1.2 mil,
it's
124, 126, right?
correct,
Right,
that's
you-
my point.
Exactly. Like, if there was $100,000 worth of more savings here, maybe we swing it to Cigna.
Yeah.
Right? But,
It's a push.
I think it's really, and I know Chuck's just staring at the numbers. He hasn't got his eyes off the pages yet, but it's that risk or conservative. You stick with the current contract, lasers, or you go with lower current premium with some lasers. Like you said, Keith, chances are probably will be over 170 for both those people, because Cigna's pinning those people with those lasers, so they're seeing claims. They do estimates internal on their prognosis, and that's what.
But the monthly premium for our employees is significantly lower with Cigna than it is for the renewal,
Well,
right?
so even though the premium is lower, you have to factor in that potential risk exposure for the county, so you have to build that into the rates. Because you don't wanna be, you don't wanna cover that liability, you want the employees to share in that. So when we build the working rates, we're gonna assume that there's
Yeah.
gonna be liability in those lasers.
Okay,
Okay?
oh, okay, so otherwise we're eating the full amount of the
Correct.
laser as opposed to just got it, sorry, I
100%.
missed that.
I have to spread it.
Well, we can come back to this page, but I just wanna go to the next page, 9, just to kind of give you a glimpse. So HM, the current year-to-date loss ratio that they're experiencing with you folks right now is 252%. So they're losing quite a bit. Since inception with HM, 143 loss ratio, it's projected to go to, at the end of this year, it'll go to 154. So since they've been with you, they've lost 54 cents on the dollar.
Why do they still want us?
Well, stop losses, they're
Yeah.
a little different.
Yeah.
How do I explain this? Loyalty, hanging in there, good years and bad years, goes a long way with stop loss.
Yeah.
It's not just like a cookie cutter, sometimes you see with medical, this.
Yeah.
They tend to, stop loss, if they didn't want to renew, they would not put a price there. But the loyalty thing, you've had a number of good years up prior to, before last year, right? And they see clients weathering the storm and sticking around. So that's exactly, I think, what Chuck and Gary were talking about this morning a little bit. It's, it does mean a lot if you stick around with them. Now, again, that sounds emotional. Don't mean it that way. It's your budget too, right? The bottom line is, I think, there's an increase in the stop loss we need to soak in this year because of the.
Yes, and although we do have a lot of options, if we go to the next page, on 10, you can see where we are today. So we've got 3 declinations so far, we've got 4 non-competitors. And, we're still waiting on the Artex captive, which, they're gonna be conservative for a new group because they're protecting the captive. So once you're in the captive, you want that to happen. So maybe this isn't the year that you jump.
Jump to the captive.
Even if they give you a quote, this looks reasonable,
We talked about that. It
Well-
might be worth having that high claim cost and drop off and then going
And
through the
then-
rest of the year and then
correct.
going back
Right.
out.
correct. So when you look at this, I mean, these are 9 options. Not a lot of options here out of these 9. So that's why I say, like, if you burn a carrier and jump ship too early on them, they're gonna be reluctant to come back.
And all these carriers know where your renewal with HM came out. And, they see the pricing, it's not about shadow pricing. They all look at your claims individually, but this tells another story. The first few are just, gonna take a pass. The other ones did put bids, but they're all north of 50% over time. So they're just not,
look at,
yeah,
at our history.
exactly,
Okay, we've been on it, but what's this?
yeah.
But the other good thing is if they see that you stayed with the carrier, be good and bad a little bit, they like to see that. So they say, okay, well, these guys aren't just spreadsheeting me every year and
We have
going to
loyalty, yeah.
to the smallest, the number. So it's a good thing, like I said, the loyalty does play a factor in the decision making. Okay,
Well,
so any questions, thoughts, concerns?
seems kind of,
Suggestions?
I think the answer is very clear.
Yeah.
We,
We have to stick with HM.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's a push it's the Cigna as the best rate. We create loyalty, we
But we
know
go
we're,
back and forth between Cigna and HM, and next year, they're not gonna,
yeah,
might
They're
not be
not
so
gonna write
kind to us.
and,
Correct.
They may not bid.
And
they-
decline
right,
for like
decline.
25
And-
years.
and frankly,
And
We've had that happen before.
no,
Yes, we.
you know, you're only bidding on Cigna if you think that we're not gonna hit the 170 on those 2 lasers and we.
We know we're gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's
like,
refuse.
I mean, we hope we don't.
Is
Maybe
that
something
because they
changes,
know
but-
our history?
I'm
They
okay.
look at the current scenarios, so they get the same claim data, we have to share the claim data with every
Yeah.
potential carrier. they look at it and they say, we think that this is gonna be a dog for the year, so let's let it cool off a little bit before we.
Yeah,
Or
if we,
if you
if
feel
we
like
were
it just-
positive and we were trending good. You
Oh,
might get.
you'd have all
someone
day.
say, "Hey, let's give it a shot."
That's right.
Right now, they're looking at,
And
Yeah,
some,
they're seeing you're on the high side now, it's gonna turn back down. It has, it always does, you know what I mean? It's cyclical, you're gonna have some bad years, you're gonna have some good years.
we also know we have a fall off at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So,
So next year, you're gonna be in a better position.
correct.
We're on the high of the roller coaster. We haven't,
Yeah.
by December, you should see that. That's what I'm hoping. Push.
I don't think we have a choice.
That one will.
And you know,
Add one more thing to the budget,
Okay.
a half a percentage point on the overall budget.
So,
Not quite that bad.
Chuck, are these numbers already in the budget that you proposed to us, or?
So this is the benefit of having a separate health fund that's outside of the general fund.
So it's not affecting
The
that budget
board,
at the
the
moment?
board controls how much you want to put in per position. I can tell you that we have still a healthy amount of fund balance and reserves over in that separate health fund. Has it been coming down from its high? Yes. But it's still multiple millions of dollars that are over there.
And the only way it builds up is if we trend good, and we have a lot of cases that stays up.
Yep, so yeah, so this is the good news of why we have an internal service fund. And so the general fund does not, is not hit by these swings.
Yeah.
Again, it's up to the board now we've had at $14,000 per position. Again, doesn't mean that we budget 14,000 for all open positions. As far as for health, because the total of all that the amounts in the individual departmental health lines does become a transfer out to help fund the separate health fund. So, but we've been able to keep that 14,000. We still have several millions of dollars in the reserves right now. In fact, that's the one that has a separate $2 million PDIP investment. And that's just a portion of the health fund reserves. And so that's been helping to give some interest, good returns to the health fund.
Great.
To help offset some
Yeah.
of these other increases.
Good planning. Well, I'll try to make slide 11 exciting and short. A lot of numbers, but you've seen this last couple of years. Just ignore the dark blue border, which is medical and pharmacy. That's an old, that should have been pulled out of there. Really, what you do is columns in the prior 12 months, you have medical and pharmacy, and then the most current 12 months, medical and pharmacy. And you see the numbers roll down. You start off gross paid claims on the prior, 4.9 for medical, 1.6 on pharmacy versus 5.8. The most current medical, 1.7 on pharmacy. Plan design changes, subtle changes we made last year, the deductible in the co-insurance, right, 10 to 15, that's accounted for. And it just kind of, it's a tally system. As well, you've had a number of specific stop loss reimbursements that are pulled out, but included later on. And really, right down in the middle, which you want to look at is claims adjusted trend, right? 7.5 on medical, 13 on pharmacy. That's our book of business across the board. Cigna's a little bit higher than that. And it just depends. It's all groups, all sizes, across the nation. And really, when you want to look at this, the bottom line is the combined experience. So in the prior, it was about 2,000 per employee, okay? And right now it's about 1,900. It's somewhat even. Now, when our actuaries run through this, there's a weighting system, right? They put 35% in the prior, 65 on the most current. They look at the current being the most credible, obviously most recent. So that brings you to a blended rate of about $2,000 per employee. Now Cigna's projection's about 1,900. So they're a little bit lower. We tend to be conservative by nature. But what this is saying, again, is 6.5 mil all in for claims, and Cigna's basically 6.2. It's still in that similar bracket. I think if Cigna came, oh yeah, we only expect like 3 million in claims, then there's something off
Yeah.
or wrong, or there's something behind that, but we like to have both to bounce off each other, okay? And then you just add in your medical admin, 116K annual. Your stop loss on the as is 45% increase with HM. Would be that 1.2 brings you to 7.9. You bounce those off of Chuck's requisition rates, okay? That's where the 9% increase is coming from. So that's, I think, Chuck and team, that's where you play a little with the numbers. I know there's a spread of what you charge the OAP and the 2,000, but overall, if you use the requisition rates on everybody, that's what we bounce it off of, the 9 grand. And the one item that, we've talked about here in the last couple of years is, potentially, the OAP now 15%. There's about 77 folks on the employees, double F members. And that plan's, it's a rich plan. It's a rich plan, that's okay. But when we ask Cigna to take a look at it, as far as a claim pick, if we just eliminated that, and the assumption enrollment wise, most people would just go to the next plan, 2,000. They probably want to go down to the 4,000. It's about 103,000 that I don't want to use the word savings. There'd be less.
Cost transfer.
Yeah, it's a cost transfer, okay? So the impact, what does that mean? It's kind of minimal. It's not quite, maybe we thought it was gonna be more, right? And this brings up the suggestion, maybe with the OAP, we talked about either eliminating it, but maybe the better plan is to freeze it. Folks that are on it today, leave it alone, you don't let new hires come in or other people choose. And you bump up that rate in the monthly, right? A little bit more. You need to keep that plan, almost costly, employee contribution.
So if you're looking at, this roll up is a 9% projection increase, which really is about trend. Medical trend is projected to be a little over 8% for, 2025 and into 2026, obviously. So you're very close to a trend increase. As Brian said, if we look at the OAP plan, you've got 3 choices. You can leave it in place, you could freeze it and have only existing people in it, so no new members go into it. Or you can keep it. If you keep it, I would suggest, as Brian said, or even if you freeze it, I would suggest bumping that rate up by more than the 9% that we're projecting here. And when we get into the claims, we'll be able to substantiate that because it's running a lot higher in the loss ratio than the other plans.
Really?
So, and even though there's only 77 into it, from an actuarial perspective, you've got fewer members in it, so any high claim drives it through the roof. But that's still, you should pay more for it. Because you don't want your other plan subsidizing that so much.
Right.
You're saying 9 is low?
9 is basically medical trend. So if you were performing, as is, you could expect about a 7.5%, 8% increase. So you're not much higher than that right now.
And if we get rid of the OAP,
You save maybe another 1.5.
yeah, it's just,
Good points.
Yeah, we
1.7.
if we go back, several years, we had the 4 plans, we had another OAP plan, so we dropped that one. And the plan was to get to the 2 high deductible plans. But after talking, and this was the last year you agreed to drop this 10% OAP plan, so we kind of marketed that, but. Based on our conversations, I think it would be best to just grandfather it, let
Yeah.
those 77 people stay on it.
Mhm.
Nobody
Yeah.
can switch over from the high deductible back and just, that's it. And as those people merge off, they merge off, but nobody new can go on it, new hires, and nobody can switch over to it. But then actually increase
Increase
that
the rate.
plan because we're really having a lot of
that's the source of a lot of the high deductible
Yeah, it is.
claims.
And I mean, the case to keep it in place is really kind of a noise factor.
Yeah.
So you've got people that are enrolled in that plan that may be approaching Medicare eligibility age. Maybe obviously they haven't put any money into an HSA. So for them to go over to the high deductible health plan, it's kind of a big jump for them.
Right.
And they haven't had a lot of time to fund that HSA.
Yeah.
So that noise is gonna come back to you folks.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
So just so that I understand, the 652,000 down the bottom there,
Yep.
634, is that essentially what we're gonna have to remove out of our health reserve fund? This is like what it's gonna cost us?
It's,
That's
it's
just
their
the increase.
forecast compared to current as far as the total plan
But it's their
expenses.
forecast for what we would take out of the fund.
Yeah, either have to make up one way or the other, either fully on reserves or a combination of increase on premiums, you know, and utilizing a little bit less in the reserves.
Okay,
The money's there, so.
But also keep in mind that some of that is gonna be absorbed by the contribution of your employees still.
right,
Well, that's what I meant.
Right.
right,
Right,
okay,
in-
yep,
Increasing rates, that's what I mean.
Which is, yeah, exactly.
But that's the number.
understood, that's
Yeah,
it,
you
that
got
was,
it.
I like
That's
the
the
bottom
delta.
line,
Yeah.
I like to look at the big picture.
The 9% increases.
Right, right, that's it, okay.
Yeah, all
Cool.
So,
So,
go
go
right ahead,
ahead,
Jake.
please.
I was just gonna say, if we go to slide 12, it's kind of like talked about a little bit, it summarizes that projection, as Brian said, medical trend at 7.5%, pharmacies at 13, so if you blend those, it's more like 8.5, 8, you know, which is like I said, where trend is predicted for the next year. And, you know, you're into actually 2026 at that point. The pharmacy benefit manager, PBM, it's a 3-year contract that expires in 2027. The rebates are shared between Cigna and Rockingham. You guys get 75%. And you received, well, about 156,000 in rebates, for the last completed year. That will probably increase a little bit because the contract gets a little better in the next year. Okay? And then this just gives you the idea of the, large claims. 85K, represent 49.2% of the total year-to-date medical and RX claims. So any claim over that 85,000 mark, that's basically almost half of the claim.
The front Clintons.
And 5 members have surpassed the 170, stop loss spec level. Claim expenses make up 90% of your plan cost, that's right in range, so basically, your fixed costs are your administrative fees, your stop loss fees. That's only 10% of the plan. Everything else is claimed. And then stop loss reimbursement, you got, $1.5 million and change reimbursed back to the plan. That just kind of puts things in perspective. Any questions so far? Okay, so these next slides kind of give you an idea of your experience. So this, on slide 13, you will see this is a roll-up of your total medical plan. So all 3 plans are combined here. In the bottom right-hand column, you'll see you're running at about 106%, 105.9.
That's the prior year.
Correct. That's the completed year, you know, through 6/30/2024. That's where you ended up. If you look at the breakdown underneath, you can see the OAP 10% plan. You had 104 enrolled in that prior year. That ran at 124% loss ratio. The $2,000 high deductible plan ran at 111, almost 112% loss ratio. And then obviously the $4,000 high deductible plan ran the best at 30.9. And there's only 25 enrolled there, but those 25, I would say the average age is very, very young. They don't seek care, they just want the lowest cost premium and protection that they can get. So that's just a little roll up there. If we flip the screen, it's line 14. These are the large losses, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Now, these are all claims over 50,000. And then you can see where the gross claims amount on the next to last column, the amount over the stop loss level. Okay, and the diagnoses are there. You can see the male to female, the relationship, you know, there's a lot of spouses in there, which is generally the case. Spouses are generally more expensive than members, employees.
So slide 15, that brings you to the current plan year. Right now, the loss ratio is about 96%, so the 100% is your bar. You're below it, you're running halfway, you know, pretty good. You're over it, you're above budget, right? The bottom left-hand side, this is where, again, you can see the good thing when we work with Alice and their team, it's not just looking at 1 year, it's looking ahead, right? So this is where you can see on the OAP plan, you get 77 folks, 133% for loss ratio, right? It's a lot of utilization in that plan. And then, and this is typical with the high deductible plans, the loss ratios tend to be lower because there's a lot of cost share, the employee has to pay, the deductible up front. So it's still a lot of claims, page, 16. Now, this is gonna give you another theme. You get 7 life losses and they're all spouses. Okay, and there's 5 of them over the 170K spec. This loops back to your stop loss renewal. This is what they're seeing. When I say spouse, that sounds emotional. It's just that it's rare that you see all of them be spouses, right? And I think we've been trying to we haven't worked with Allison. Their wellness objectives to help pull in spouses as well as, obviously the employees as well. But you can see that the one at the top is the big one, right? It's over $1 million. Again, that's the one that should be off the plan at the end of this year. Okay.
Number one.
Number one, yeah, Tom, that's right. And you can also see the plan that they're on, right? That's kind of helpful. But the next two, the stem cell and the sepsis, right? Those are the next ones that are starting to boil. Those are the ones that are looking ahead. You can see the split, medical and pharmacy payments. The pharmacy, yeah, sometimes you see that leading the charge as far as the most costs. But in this case, all 7, the medical portion of bills supplanted by some RX, but that the medical needs, inpatient, services. That kind of. So that kind of that, I don't want to say it brings an end, but that's the medical, that's the big nugget we're kind of dealing with, and we talked about weather and the storm on the stop loss premium. Okay.
So decisions basically on the OAP plan, you want to freeze it, keep it, or eliminate it. Obviously, the stop loss is a real big decision. I don't foresee us coming in with additional marketing that would severely improve those numbers. I think that's kind of really the state that you're in. We might get another one or two to trickle in that are probably going to be similar. But I don't expect anything to come in lower at this point.
Nope. To be honest, I don't. And if they do come with savings, it's probably not gonna be enough to move.
Right.
I mean, everybody's seen your claims. There's always one that will maybe take a run at you.
Yeah.
But those make us nervous, right? It's a 1-year price thing. So.
Not a huge fan of the lasers myself. That's why Gallagher has, within our contract that the stop loss carriers have to offer a quote with no laser. That's just what we structure. If you want one, then you can get a quote, but they have to be able to provide a quote with no laser. And then obviously looking at that 170 specific stop loss level. If you want to bump that 10,000 or 20,000, So that's kind of the decision tree on the medical side.
Well,
Yes. You go into dental, this one's a lot easier, so you can see there's your ASO history, for your dental ASO fees. The good news is this year, if you flip the page, we're in the midst of a 2-year guarantee, so, no increase, it's staying at $643 per employee per month. So that, not anticipating any increase there. This rate will expire in 2026, 6/30/2026.
How come they don't run concurrent like with medical? How come it doesn't line up so they do?
Because sometimes a dental will give us a 3-year rate guarantee, where Cigna might give us a 2.
Oh.
It's just a little bit off cycle.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
That's
different
all.
carriers. So.
different carriers, or if you switch carriers, or, But that's good news there. The next page is, again, the projection that we're running.
Yeah, and I think this one just kind of boils down to, what you charge, right? This increase seems like a lot, 8.4, but really, if you look at the dollar, that's claims, because the admin's flat. And a lot of times when you're in that, again, I don't want to overspeak, but a lot of times you can hold the dental rates year to year, or a little bit of minor bump up or down, right, depending on the projections. You can look here, we start off the year, from prior period, 334 in gross claims at the top, to 335, it's pretty steady. You run that down on trend, which is about 4.8. When you add your admin in, it's like total annual claims is 369. Northeast Delta Dental was 366. Again, the projections on claims are similar between us and the carrier. And then you get your admin at 26K, you throw in the, again, this is bounced off the requisition rates for dental. So the 8.4, I don't want you to sticker shock, it's more, it's the 31K annual for claims. You might be able to roll the dice and keep the working rates where they are, and the county soaks up, the rest of it, and they'll go over, but that one's a little easier, like Gary said.
Yep. Good news is 97% of your claims are being paid in network, so that's good, not only for Rockingham County, but for your employees, because they're being discounted. So that's good. That tells us that the Northeast Delta Dental Network is adequate for you, which is good.
And they're using the discount.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. The next page, slide 20, is the experience for the year end of the previous completed year. So that ran just about on budget at 100% on 5.
That's when miracles happen.
Yep.
When your projection actually
Right
matches
on it.
what happened.
Yep, yep. And actually, the year before that, you were 99.6, so, again, right on the budget. The low plan performed better at 69%, and the high plan performed a little worse at 109.6. And then you've got year to date right now through February, you're running a little bit high at 106%. High plan is at 116, and the low plan is at basically 72. So we could adjust the high plan a little bit higher,
Yeah.
just tweak it a little bit higher than, as I said.
Contributions.
Yeah. Any questions on dental? That one's fairly simple. On slide 22, this was a program that, we folks were discussing internally, the National Association of Counties. So this is a pharmacy benefit manager program. Obviously, I'm an advocate of carving out pharmacy when you can. We talked about trying to do that here years ago using the Gallagher Pharmacy Alliance. So our GPA Pharmacy Alliance is similar to this, and where we're bulking our clients together to get better rebates, better pricing, better customer service, and better terms, okay? Like I said, usually I think it's a best practice to do that. With this particular program, I can't tell you exactly how much savings is justified. We would have to get data from them and reprice it. So what this particular solution is projecting that they could save 15 to 25% on your current pharmacy drug spend. As I said, it's difficult to verify that without the data. We'll take it at its word. But we would need to, in order to justify it, we would need to take the data, reprice it under their terms, and then I can come back and say, yes, this is legitimate. No, it's overstated, or what have you. Keep in mind, drug claims account for 18% of your plan. So, the majority of your claims are coming from your medical side, which is, providers, hospitals, stuff like that, testing, not the pharmacy side. So, but still, 15, 20, 25% of 18% of your spend would be great. As I said, we have a similar landscape with the Pharmacy Alliance. Unfortunately, the barrier is here because Cigna won't allow you to do it. They won't allow us to put in our program. They wouldn't allow the NACO program either. It's just that you're not big enough. If they did allow it, they would jump up your ASO fees, which would eat into that savings. Because again, they're sharing that, the pharmacy rebates, they're getting 25%, you're getting 75%. So if that was gone, they're gonna have to bump their ASO rates up, okay? I wish there was better news, but Cigna will not allow a client under 500
That's normal.
contract.
That's
It is normal.
marketplace normal. When they carve out PBMs, it's usually, they like large, like big groups, bigger groups, north of 500. So 500 threshold is normal in a lot of carriers. So I don't want to make it sound like it's isolated to you.
And the other thing that's changing in the pharmacy landscape is the biggies like CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, Optum. They used to take all comers. So if I had a self-funded group of say 500 employees, they would offer a proposal to handle the pharmacy benefit management duties for that group. They're not doing that anymore. their numbers are more like at least 2,000 employees, something like that. And that's why what Gallagher did is we started to group our clients together, so we had that bandwidth so that we could offer Express Scripts, Optum, Med Impact, CVS Caremark to our clients, and with stronger discounts. So that the whole pharmacy landscape is changing, and that's why, you know, we're not surprised to see that Cigna wouldn't allow 500 contract, under 500 to do this. Again, if you were able to do it, they'd charge you some file feed costs. So that would again eat into some of that savings that's projected. And then the other caveat would be, is there any formulary disruption to your members right now? So if we moved away from Cigna, for instance, and just put in Express Scripts or CVS Caremark, the formulary is going to be a little bit different, no matter who you go to. So there will be an element of disruption. So some of these drugs will not be in the same tier that they're currently paying. It may not be covered. There may be an equivalent that has to be used versus that drug. We see that in a lot, like diabetic test strips, stuff like that, because they kind of go to one vendor so they can get that price down. So you might be using a different vendor, you would have to switch over. So that's what I call disruption. Okay. So again, it's like I said, conceptually, I love the idea of this. I would have done it a long time ago for you. I would have put you in the Pharmacy Alliance. We just can't do it with Cigna. Now, we could explore carrier change. I don't think Anthem would allow it either, but I could confirm that. I just, you know, right now, I'm sure you're not gonna want to jump to Anthem for this particular plan period, because now you got a lot more disruption.
And the money is small, the figure is small.
Correct.
It's not like you're saving.
It's not huge savings, but you know, if I could save $1, I'm gonna do it for you, you know what I mean? It's just that we can't with this particular thing. We can look at different scenarios. But again, now you get disruption on networks for your medical plan and the pharmacy. So, you know, we can explore it if you want, I could check with Anthem to see maybe next year if you wanted to do that. And then we would do a network disruption analysis, would also do a network discount analysis. So, you know, Anthem might match you with a network access point of view. Their discounts may be different or not as good as, say, Cigna. So that's why we would do both of those. And there just isn't a lot of time to do that right now. But if you wanted to look at it for the following year, if we start earlier, we request all kinds of data. That is, again, if Anthem would allow you to do that. We don't know if they would.
I think just one undertone, just to kind of loop back on this. So your pharmacy right now, it's through, obviously, Cigna through Express Scripts. It's actually a very strong contract, and what I mean by that is the discounts are already very good. It's a strong contract. So it's not, you know, as far as you're not paying full price for prescriptions. The ones that they have in place, it's a good discount structure. So what you have today is a very good pharmacy program. I just want to make sure that, you know, this is just an option to think about it. It was brought to the table, so.
Yeah, I mean, if I was selling pharmacy services, I'd say to you, oh yeah, we could save you 10%. I don't know that. The only way I'm gonna know that is to reprice your current claims and say this is where you would have been today versus where you are. And so. Okay.
So I think it's 12:02. So there's one little slide we can kick through, or do you need me to just?
So we can.
Yes, okay. I think one of the ideas, and this is just a thought process, because there's a lot of, obviously spouses on the plan, right? Some companies, and if you actually go to page 24, 24, a little bit, actually, one of these is supposed to be public entity. Yeah, the 24, yeah. So in the spousal clear chat, we talked about that. That's where you tap on a little extra for contributions if you have a spouse on the plan, okay? As you can see, 5.5%, not a lot of people do it, right? It's not a growing trend, it's actually a dying trend. The interesting thing is, I know you guys, you gotta remember that you help employees with 2 other spots. Is that $1,500, you know, if they waive, right? And you have about, I think it was 73 folks in this plan, you give or take, that have taken advantage of that, right? I don't say free money, but in a sense, right? And then you've got the HSA where you give $1,750 or That's 3,500. You get about 94, 93 people on both sides of that, single and that's all on the summary page up front. So that opt-out credit, you're already doing, that's like 25% of public entities doing it. So what this is telling us, you kind of look at, if you're looking to kind of tweak and change things, you're already on the head of the curve with the opt-out credit. Spousal surcharge, a little hesitant to do that, okay? And of course, we appreciate your time in the last slide.
Thank you.
I hope it's medical, like every year, it'll be a tough conversation, like Jared was saying. I mean, we'd love to come in here. Everyone's had a healthy year and there's no increases, but I'm not sure if we'll ever be able to say that, but. I appreciate you hanging in there because it's a lot of information, but there's a lot behind it too, that gets us to this spot. So,
I mean, looking at it, claimant one, it costs a lot of money, If you don't run into those for a couple of years, or hopefully never, I mean, that one really set us back, but now we should reset, and go forward,
Yeah,
Hopefully,
like I said,
Hopefully.
it's gonna happen. You're gonna have ebb and flows.
Yeah.
I've got a client that's on
Assignment.
$1 million drug every year, $900,000 every year. It's not going away,
Yeah,
so it's gonna happen
Yeah.
from time to time.
A lot of money for a drug.
Oh,
oh, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, and it's
Must be.
probably,
found a youth, out in the youth or something. I mean, geez.
it keeps this poor woman out of the hospital though, which is good. She has a quality of life with before she was very,
We
very
have
ill.
nothing.
Yeah.
we have one that's hemophilia. So it's that price ticket by the rest of that person's life, and it's a kid. On another client, and it's just, they're lazy in that situation, so.
So are we making any decisions today, or this is just our presentation and we're gonna get a recommendation from Allison?
And then you'll get motions, Chuck and I'll work behind the scenes on that, we'll prepare the motions, I hope for next week is my goal. If not, it'll be the following week, and then you.
Pretty
Then
obvious.
you present it to us. Okay,
It seems pretty obvious.
As long as we Chuck and I kind of have.
It does.
Definitely.
it does.
We'll keep you posted if there's
If only we,
another alternative for the stop loss. We'll update those slides and get them to you. Again, I don't anticipate anything coming in. It's gonna be a lot better, but
I'll send you our normal workbook, that's all the
Yeah, that'd be great.
back pages. But the numbers, it's that spinning.
From an informational standpoint, like when we have the big claim months, I know that part of that's gonna be reimbursed to top off. There's only a lag. Is there any sort of report we can be given that I don't need to know individuals, but
Yes.
that at each quarter end, and we have what the estimated stop loss lag is as far as reimbursements? It's also helped me as far as when I get to the year-end financial statements.
Yeah.
And we have stop loss receivables due, but they're not gonna come in for whatever number of months. I need to be able to do an accrual entry to credit against expenses.
So we can run what they call like an IBNR, it's incurred but not reported. And that should give you the projection on that stuff, right? No.
Right, on the ones that are exceeding the 170, yeah, we're already there.
No problem.
Because we also do quarterly reporting to the executive committee and obviously to the board as
Yeah.
far as internal service funds.
And that's the right move, keeping everybody everybody, keeping folks informed. So today is not a surprise. No one's really like, oh, yeah, it's a big sticker price increase on stop loss, but we try to eliminate the surprise because of the course of the year, the financials are running. It's good that everybody's in tune. I can work on that. And stop loss was hoping to have an answer by April 18th, but HM, they're very
Yeah.
easy to work with, so we just remind them that there's a board of commissioners that meet. And we may need a little bit more time.
And those rates are guaranteed through a certain day, that's why we'd like to get it.
Right.
We're trying so that we're done and we're locked in.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
thank you guys so much for your time. We
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
hanging in there.
Great pleasure.
Yeah.
Great seeing you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
thanks, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm more jealous of your tan or your hair. Sorry about that. Either way, it's a compliment.
It works.
He talks to that too.
Yeah. I feel his pain.
I hear ya.
So,
All right, guys, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
well, there's only one more motion
That's
to
the
make.
day. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
See you guys.
All those
Thank
in
you.
favor? Aye.
All right.
The end of April, I'll be in Florida.